So hello friends, in today's lecture we'll be continuing with the actuators. So in last two lectures we have gone through the principles of various actuators, electrical actuator, then electromechanical actuator we have seen. In last lecture we have seen the electromagnetic actuator, solenoid type of actuator we have seen. Then the hydraulic actuators as well as pneumatic actuators and its working principles and components that we have seen in a last lecture. Now today we will be continuing with the actuators and we are going to focus on micro and nano actuators. So we are going to see how exactly the micro and nano actuators are manufactured or how they are used as actuators. So micro actuators are also called as a micro machines or a MEMS or a microsystems. So it is also called as a micro machines, MEMS or microsystems. So they are tiny mobile devices in a sense you can move it from one place to another place. So these are not heavy, these are very tiny mobile devices being developed utilizing the standard microelectronic processes. So we have seen in previous lectures the photolithography type of processes which can be used to develop the microelectronic devices. So such micro or nano actuators are also developed with such kind of microelectronic processes with an integration of semiconductors and machined micromechanical elements. So you have to manufacture it in a micromechanical elements, so that means the element should be of mm type or less than mm. So the device produced by an assembly extremely small fractional parts of the around of 1 to 15 mm, so called as a micro machine. Okay, so the device is in the range of 1 to 15 millimeter, is we will call it as a micro machines. So micro actuators are based on three-dimensional mechanical structures with a very small dimensions which are produced with the help of lithographic process. So we know the lithographic process. So lithographic means you are printing it, the circuit or your part on a film, you are exposing to the UV field, and that field depending on positive or negative type of process for photolithography, the part is etched, and anisotropic type of etching techniques we have already seen in the previous lectures. So for an actuator like a displacement, the most different principle of the force generation is used, such as bimetal effect, piezo effect, then the shape memory effect and electrostatic effects. So these are the principles that can be used to generate the force for a displacement purpose. So now whenever you are going to downscale the actuator dimension from macro range to micro range. Macro range means it is greater than 15 mm. You are moving towards the micro range, that means you are going into micrometers. Of course the actuator force decreases, so when the dimension is decreased, the actuator force will also decrease. So what will happen when you downscale the mechanical structure by factor m, how it is going to affect the various parameters or various forces, let us try to understand. So if you downscale, now let us consider that this is the structure you want to manufacture. It is a micro machine type of structure, and you may let us say it is having size n and you are reducing it to size m, or it is by factor m, it is downscaled. So it is downscaled by factor m, so m into n will be the downscaling total dimension. So what will happen to the electromagnetic force? So the electromagnetic force will reduce by m raised to 4. Electromagnetic force will reduce by m raised to 4. Pneumatic, hydraulic or biological forces will reduce by m to m square. So depending on what kind of structure you are having or what kind of material you are using, depending on that, these forces will reduce by m or m square. Then electrostatic forces will be reduced by m square, and electric field will be reduced by, actually it is not reduced, it is increased by m raised to minus 0.5. So the only thing is that electric field will get increased, and other fields like electromagnetic force, pneumatic, hydraulic forces, electrostatic forces, they will get reduced by the factor of m raised to 2 to m raised to 4, and the factor which is increased by, that will be increased by m raised to square. This is increased by this factor. Okay, so this is how we 1 by 2. So this is what we have called it. Okay, so the important properties of microactuators are, so there are 3 important properties. The advantages are, you can produce such kind of microactuators, you can produce it in a batch production. So the size is compact, it is precise, very independable and inexpensive. So it can be integrated into microsensors and microelectronics. The voltage and current compatibility is with microelectronics. That means you can operate it at low level of voltage and low level of currents. So the power consumption is obviously less. So these are the advantages of these micro actuators. Apart from that, there are certain disadvantages, that the initial investment is very high for the production equipment, and obviously only small displacement or forces are possible with such kind of micro or nano actuators. So we are going to study the first micro actuator as a micro drives. So in that micro drives, we are going to see a electrical type of micro drive and a mechanical type of micro drive. So first we are going to see the electrical micro drive. So these micro drives, they are high precision drives with a millimeter size and are used for minimal invasive diagnostic and surgery. So most of the biomedical applications, so such kind of micro drives are utilized. So if you are going to the dentist, so you may find that the motors that the dentist is using, these are of very miniature size. So we may call such kind of motors of micro drives. So miniaturized scanners in datacom or positioning drives. So the example is micro robots and the handheld consumer devices used by the doctors. So the first micro drive that we are going to study is a electromagnetic micromotor. So it is working on a principle of electromagnetic, but it is a micromotor. That means you are manufacturing the motor with a very small dimensions. So micromotor consists of a diametrically magnetized rare earth magnet rotor surrounded by a coil which generates the rotating magnetic field. So it is going to produce a rotating magnetic field. We'll see the structure also so that you can understand how small it is. So a soft magnetic tube, it simultaneously acts as a housing and a returning yoke for a magnetic flux. So you will be using a soft magnetic core which will be used as a housing as well as a returning yoke for the magnetic flux. So here it is the structure, you can see that. So this is the miniature shaft. So this shaft is here. So this is the shaft. Then this is the yoke. This is the yoke, external yoke, you can see that, and these internal, there is a coil, and you can see that the bearings are there. So one bearing is here and another bearing is here. So that bearings are called as a jewel bearing, and it consists of feeder wire so that you can it will be connected to the these coils. So this coil will produce a flux, and there are the magnets. So you can see that there are permanent magnets. So this is the permanent magnet. Okay, so these are the permanent magnets. Okay, so these are the magnets. So here you can see that this is the shell of yoke, which is a soft magnet. Then this is the coil, which is your connected. This is the shaft, and this is the internal magnets, and these are the bearings you can use, and these are the caps to cover it. Now you can see that this micromotor is, how small it is. It is near to your tip of your matchbox. So you just imagine how small it is. Okay. So in order to minimize the order of the diameter of the motor, a yoke material combining a high saturation magnetization and a very low coarcity has been chosen. So with a this motor is of 1.9 mm of a diameter and length of 5.5 mm. With the motor generates the torque up to 7.5 micro nanometer or Newton meter, and the rotational speed is more than 1 lakh rpm. So you can just imagine the rpm is very high, the torque is quite good, and the size is very small. So you can use such kind of micromotors in various applications, as we discussed in biomedical applications. So flat electromagnetic motors with a dimension of a penny. So you can generate, or you can manufacture the motor just like a coin also. So flat type of electromagnetic motors are also possible. So please read it as a flat. Please read it flat instead of Fiat. So flat electromagnetic motors just like a penny is also possible. So here you can see that it is the size of your coin width. So the thickness is nearly about the coin of the size nearly about your 1 rupee coin, and you can see that you can prepare with such kind of, the shaft is there, that the top plate is there, then the magnetic rings are there, bearings are there, then the coil array is there, the coil array which will help you to move this shaft, then the fringe is there, and the bottom plate is there. So you can see that such a flat type of penny motor is also possible. Why it is called as a penny? Because it looks like a small coin, that's why it is called as a penny. Okay, so its diameter is of, you can see that its diameter is of hardly 1 centimeter, 1.2 centimeter. The height is of 1.4 mm, hardly it is less than 1.5 mm. 1.5 mm means it is less than 2 mm. So torque is near about 80 micro nanometers at 200 milliampere current, and the speed is nearly about, you can get the rpm of 60,000 rpm. So you can see that such motors will also produce a good torque as well as high speed motors. So due to very small radius, extremely high acceleration and rotation velocity up to 60,000 rpm, and the torque up to 100 micro nanometer Newton meter in continuous operation are reached. So with the help of such penny motors, we will try to see how exactly it is moved. Then the second drive, which is a mechanical type of drive, it is called as the reduction gears. So we can manufacture the gears. We know that the gears which will give you the mechanical rotations. So for that purpose you will be using the gears. So most of the time you find the plastic gears also that are used to drive your motor, or the motors will drive these such kind of gears, and these gears you can manufacture it in a micro range also. So in order to adopt a high speed micro motors and to increase the output torque considerably, the miniaturization reduction gears with a similar size and shapes are also needed. So gear realized for a 1.9 millimeter rotor motor is 3-stage gear, contains a plastic part fabricated of POM using Liga technique. Liga technique we have seen in the last few lectures. So this is how you can manufacture. So you can see that. So these are the gear teeth. So this is the gear teeth, you can see that, and this is made up of plastic, and here it is again different gears are there. So you can see that these type of gears are manufactured, and that can be connected to the shaft, and that will move the shaft along with the shaft, and that will try to increase the speed of your devices. So such kind of reduction gears are also possible. So these are the mechanical devices which are connected to your electromagnetic type of micro actuators, and the combination of these two will work very fast. So the mass production of such reduced gears is also possible in a molded type. So the penny motor with a flat shape is perfectly suited to the miniaturized rotary position system if the flat gear is of high ratio. So you have to maintain the ratio. We are going to see the example also, so you will understand how the ratio is going to affect, and zero backslash is integrated. Now the harmonic drive with a dynamic spline is as shown. So here you can see that so this is the central gear which is connected to the stator of your which is connected to the rotor of your miniaturized motor. So that will move, and this will move these planets, and that will move across this external spline which is a static spline. Okay, so I am going to show you the example of that one. So let us try to understand. The high aspect of Liga technique is turned to be a prerequisite to realize the prototype with a gear ratio of 505. That means the ratio of this and the ratio of the outer one is 505. This is what the example is shown over here. So the development may be executed stepwise by using a high aspect lithography and electroplating steps for prototype, and eventually the injection molding type of series productions are utilized. So injection molding is actually this is the technique by which the molten plastic is sent through the molds which are having such kind of gears. Then you simply pass it, and after that after a certain portion is pushed out, it will get cutted, okay, so in a finished manner, and you will be getting a molded type of structure. So that's why it is called as a injection. So it is just like an injection. So what will happen, let us consider that here it is molten metal or molten plastic which is sent to this mold. I am giving you just an idea. So it will get injected in this one, and the mold, because of the molten plastic, will move in that mold. So it will take the shape of the mold, and it will be cooled down, and it will be taken out by the force. So that is called as a injection molding. So if you get a chance to visit any plastic industry, you will see such kind of injection molding type of series production mechanisms. So you can see such kind of production also. So here it is the example of this kind of example, but the outer is not a static, it is also moving. So this is a dynamic spline. I am giving you the example of dynamic spline. So this is moving, and the static spline is, now I'll give you the second example where the inner part will move in rotational planet type of movement. So here it is so outer one is the stationary. So here inner one is the stationary and outer is moving. So here outer is stationary and inner parts are moving. So the both type of reduction gears will help you to have a rotational type of action. So this action is possible with the help of reduction gears. So actually here you can see that when you run it, you can see the speed of the motors are totally different. So the speed is comparatively high for the red, and you can see the speed for the green is very slow. It's very slow. You can see that it is moving. It is moving. So you can count it also. You can come to know that how many parts of red will move, how many parts of green will move, and how many parts of green will move. So accordingly the speed gets reduced. So this is the reduced type of speed mechanism. So you can reduce the speed of any kind with the help of gears also. So these are also called as a micro drives. Okay, now whenever we are going for such kind of actuators, either of any kind, then in that case we should go for a certain selection criteria, and this selection criteria is little bit complex than the criteria of the sensor, because here the criteria you are considering, you need to consider the various parameters, and that parameters are very complex. So the selection of the proper actuator is more complicated than the sensors, primarily due to the effect of their dynamic behavior of the overall system. So you need to consider the dynamic behavior of the overall system. So whenever you are going for a dynamic behavior, so the system becomes complex. So if the system becomes complex, obviously the selection criteria becomes complicated. So the selection of the actuator dominates the power needs and the coupling mechanism. So you need to consider the coupling mechanism as well as the power needs. So how much force you will be requiring to drive the next system or the next mechanism. So what type of coupling you will be requiring and how much power you will require. So that decides the entire system. But apart from that, there are certain factors, but these are the two important factors which are going to govern the selection criteria. So the coupling mechanism sometimes be completely avoided if the actuator provides an output which can be directly interfaced with the physical system. So if the coupling mechanism you are not considering, as you are going to couple or as you are going to directly connect the actuator with a physical system, then in that case you should not consider the coupling mechanism. So for example, a linear motor in place of rotary motor can be eliminated. The need of coupling mechanism to convert the rotary motion into linear motion. So rotary motors, we know that they will move in a rotary motion, and if you want to convert the rotary into linear, then you have to use the linear converter or linear coupling mechanism. But if the linear motor is available for you people or for directly interfacing, then we can avoid the rotary motor along with a coupling mechanism. So that is what the example we have taken here. So there are general factors or the general parameters that we need to consider when we select the actuator. So the first parameter is the continuous power output. First parameter is a continuous power output. So that is the maximum power of force or a torque attainable continuously without exceeding the temperature limit. So whenever there is a force or whenever there is a torque, obviously the friction will occur, and that friction will create the temperature. So considering that temperature will not exceed the certain point, the maximum force that we can get continuously will be the one parameter. Then the range of the motion, whether you want a linear or rotary type of motion. Then the resolution, the minimum increment of the force or the torque attainable. Then the accuracy, it is the linearity of the relationship between input and output. Then the peak force or the torque, that is the force or the torque at which actual actuator will be stalled. Then heat dissipation is there. Heat dissipation, it is the maximum wattage that is of the heat dissipated in the continuous operation. Then the speed characteristics, force torque versus speed relationship is also important one. Then the next criteria we are going to consider no load speed. So when there is a no load, what is the maximum speed you will get? Then what is the frequency response of your actuator? Then what is the power requirement? Either you will be using AC power, DC power, the number of phases, single phase, three phase, also two phase is also there. So we generally talk in terms of single phase and three phase. So number of phases, the voltage level and the current capacity. So this is going to decide the power requirement. And in addition to that, there are many criteria which can be considered for power and coupling mechanism. So that we need to consider. So the example is given for the criteria is the rack and the pinion coupling mechanism is chosen. Then the backslash and friction will affect the resolution and actuating unit. So if you are using the rack or pinion type of coupling, so these are the actually mechanical terms. So don't consider about that one, forget about that one. So let us consider that this is one kind of mechanical coupling. When you choose such kind of coupling, then at that time backslash and friction will take place, and that is going to affect your accuracy and actuating unit. So whenever there is a friction, obviously there will be wear and tear losses will be there, and that losses will create the gaps between the gears, and that will have a play between the gears, and certainly there will be a loss, and your unit or your actuating unit may not work in an effective manner and its performance degraded. So this is what the factors you need to consider, and with that we came to the end of this unit. In this unit we discussed about first the basic concepts of actuators, then the definitions of actuators, then we discussed about the various principles that are used or the for the actuators. In that we have seen the electrical actuators, then in the electrical actuators we have considered the electronic devices which can be used as a switch and relays. So these are the devices we considered as electrical actuators. Under electrical actuators again we can bifurcate it as a electromechanical and electromagnetic. So electromechanical, we have seen the motors can be used as a electromechanical type of devices, then solenoid type of devices which can be used as a electromagnetic actuators. Then we have gone for a hydraulic and pneumatic types of actuators, and we have seen what are the different components that can be used in a hydraulic and pneumatic actuators. For example, the reservoir, the regulator, then the solenoid, then the speed limiter, and the actual actuators. So that we have seen in case of pneumatic actuators and their interrelation between that one. And in today's lecture we have gone through the micro and nano type of actuators. In that we have seen the micro drives related to the electromagnetic type of micro motors, as well as reduced gears or the micro gears we have seen. And we have seen the selection criteria, the parameters related to that one. I hope you might have understood the basic concepts related to the actuators, and you can use such kind of actuators in many applications. So thank you very much for patience listening. If you please do visit my YouTube channel Tech Fundas. Thank you very much. If you have any query, you can post it on the channel. I'll try to answer your queries. Thank you for the patience listening. Thank you.